the first keynote of the workshop, which will be delivered by Mr. Beng, Senior Director of Industry Division at the Ministry of Trade and Industry. The title of his keynote is Opportunities and Partnership for a Low Carbon Future. Let's welcome Mr. P.
Hi, I hope everyone can hear me. Good morning, everyone. I'm very pleased to be with all of you here today at this workshop. Globally, the climate imperative is becoming more pressing. Energy generation accounts for about 70% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions. Managing the world's energy transition is thus an important part of managing the challenges of climate change. Despite COVID-19, the demand for energy continues to grow. The International Energy Agency estimates that global energy demand will increase by 4.6% in 2021 after the slowdown in 2020, with a projected 20% increase in demand by 2040. Globally, though, we are entering into a period of transition over the next few decades. In the last few years, more countries have committed to climate neutrality pledges. According to the International Renewable Energy Agency's estimates, investment in energy transitions technologies reached an all-time high of $524 billion in 2020. The low-carbon energy movement has impacts both on countries and industries worldwide. On the home front, Singapore is committed to doing our part in this transition. We aim to peak our emissions at 65 million tonnes by 2030 and to halve this to 33 million tonnes by 2050, with a view to reaching net zero emissions as soon as viable in the second half of this century. Earlier this year, we announced the Singapore Green Plan 2030. The Green Plan is a whole-of-nation sustainability agenda that charts ambitious and concrete plans over the next 10 years. The plan has 5 pillars: city in nature, energy reset, sustainable living, green economy, and a resilient future. For today, I will focus on energy reset. Although Singapore has limited alternative energy sources, we have been actively decarbonizing our grid while maintaining our energy security. We have earlier announced the 4 supply switches that we are actively utilizing: natural gas, solar, low carbon alternatives, and regional power grids. Today, natural gas, the cleanest form of fossil fuel, makes up more than 95% of our electricity generation. It will remain a dominant fuel for Singapore in the near future, given our constraints. Notwithstanding, we are working with the industry to increase the efficiency of existing gas-fired power plants. Singapore is also actively growing our solar capacity. We are now one of the most solar-dense cities in the world, having grown our capacity by more than 6 times since 2016. Our goal is to quadruple solar deployment from 2020 levels to 1.5 gigawatt peak by 2025 and to reach at least 2 gigawatt peak by 2030. To this end, we have been seeking innovative solutions to overcome our land use constraints. For example, we opened the first large-scale floating solar pad for PV system at Tengah Reservoir in July this year, which has a capacity of 60 megawatt peak. JTC and Shell also signed a MOU in June to explore developing a solar farm on part of Semakau landfill. Such innovative solutions can be scaled up further and potentially exported to the region. Apart from solar, we are also exploring emerging low-carbon alternatives, such as the use of low-carbon hydrogen and carbon capture, utilization, and storage technologies. We are working with our industry partners, research institutes, and international partners to improve the technical and commercial viability. We are also studying regional power grids. which will help to enhance grid security and sustainability. We are embarking on pilot projects on cross-border electricity imports, including 100 megawatts from Malaysia. We are also partnering our regional counterparts in the Laos, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore Power Integration Project. Next, let's look at the accelerating development of low-carbon technologies. New developments in the energy space presents many growth opportunities for Singapore and our companies. The government will continue to actively support companies and research institutes who are interested to partner us in the transition towards low-carbon futures. Singapore invests heavily in our R&D capabilities. We have committed Singapore 25 billion, the equivalent of 1% of GDP, under our Research, Innovation and Enterprise 2025 plan, to strengthen our innovation capabilities across various sectors. This includes a sum to support the development and commercialization of innovative solutions in solar, energy storage, systems, and low-carbon energy technologies such as hydrogen and carbon capture, utilization, and storage. Through our grant calls, we have partnered with companies including Keppel, Sembcorp, and Shell to support the development of solutions on low-carbon energy. We also collaborate with like-minded countries to accelerate this development. In June this year, Singapore and Australia launched a public-private partnership on low emissions in maritime and shipping. NTU's ECOS Lab is in discussion with the Commonwealth Scientific and Industrial Research Organization to trial the use of low-carbon hydrogen, ammonia, and other derivatives in shipping and port operations. To further our company's effort, we also introduce targeted programs to help businesses be more energy and carbon efficient. These include the Resource Efficiency Grant for Energy and the Energy Efficiency Fund, which provide up to 50% support for qualifying costs. I encourage businesses to take advantage of such schemes. Partnerships between our Institute of Higher Learning, research institutes, and industry partners are crucial to achieve our aspiration for Singapore to transition to a low-carbon future. I'm heartened by the establishment of the Singapore Energy Centre, which brings together NUS, NQE, and corporations such as ExxonMobil to develop scalable, global relevant solutions in helping us address challenges in energy and sustainable development. SGEC for short, research projects in fields such as renewable hydrogen and carbon capture, utilization, and storage are particularly important in our decarbonization journey. The government has also introduced funding to encourage research on low-carbon energy solutions. At the Singapore International Energy Week last year, we announced a $49 million low-carbon energy research funding initiative. This will support research, development, and demonstration projects in low-carbon energy to accelerate the technical and economic viability of emerging technologies. We will continue to work with researchers and industry partners in developing and commercializing low-carbon technologies. Recently, JTC announced 2 innovation calls aimed at reducing the carbon footprint on Jurong Island. Companies can also participate in the Sustainability Open Innovation Challenge, organized by ESG, where researchers and SMEs can get a chance to access funding, collaborate with major partners, and test-bed their solutions. I encourage interested researchers and companies to actively partner us to forge a sustainable future for Singapore. We will continue to seize opportunities in the low-carbon energy space and work towards making Singapore a global hub for sustainable innovation. I look forward to the sharing from the distinguished speakers today at the workshop on the challenges and opportunities in our transition. And I wish all of you a very successful discussion during this workshop today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. P. We have time for a few questions. So if anyone have questions, please feel free to type them in the Q&A. Okay, if there are none, okay, there's one. Okay. So the first question is, what's the mode of funding opportunities? Mr. P?
Yeah. So we have basically three kinds of funding that we will give. Firstly, we do have block funding that we will give to our research institutions and universities to access. And one of the core areas that we are definitely investing into is looking at a low carbon future. So this is something that both universities and research institutes would come to the government to seek for block funding. The second one is really looking at innovation grant calls. As I pointed out, we have made quite a number of those in the past few years. And we have recently launched two of those by JTC and ESG. Lastly, companies can approach respective and research institutions can approach respective government agency for direct government funding for support for their projects. So mainly, these are the three modes of funding that's available. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, in order of priority for MTI, which technology is Singapore banking on to succeed sooner rather than later?
Yeah, this is an interesting question. Actually, we are doing quite a number of those, exploring in multiple different areas. Some are more experimental in nature. For example, CCUS, carbon capture, utilization, and storage. For that, I think the carbon capture technology is quite mature, but really in terms of getting agreement to get them to be stored is something that we will need to explore further because we don't have any storage space for such captured carbon in Singapore. We will have to explore potential G2G partnership for that storage. Then, for example, in the area of hydrogen, producing hydrogen itself isn't an issue, but really it's the transportation of hydrogen that's being produced that will be more challenging. And so we are also invested in doing early research on that. Then for the other kind of, for example, cleaner energy sources, for example, solar and things like that, those are very mature technology. We are then therefore more focused on how do we deploy them in a way that is more suited for our country's situation. Therefore, my point around exploring how can we utilize land use spaces that perhaps are suitable for it and do not have competing users. For example, our reservoirs or our Semakau landfill. So it depends. We are definitely exploring all kinds of possibilities, but they're all in different phases of maturity as the question pointed out. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. So I think in the interest of time, maybe Mr. P can take another question, and the rest we probably can save it for the panel discussion. So the third question is, please elaborate Singapore's stand on the use of ammonia as alternative energy.
I think we are going back to the point just now. We are exploring it. I answer a bit faster, and we are now looking at it as part of a potential use in marine fuel. We do understand that ammonia as a carrier of energy is a good source for doing so. And so we are doing that, and we will look for different industry partnership and its users in its respective industry. Thanks.
Thanks, Mr. P.